Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Potential Unleashed. We are back with another video, Classroom Elite Year 2, Volume 4.5. Like I said, I was going to be doing these more often because I took a break. Don't know why, forgot, and I punished myself saying I would not read ahead in the series. I still have 2 more after this to do. So we're going to get into it. This book, it was very interesting. It's after the Year 2 island test, so a lot of stuff happened in that book. A lot of stuff that had to be resolved in this one, along with the summer vacation. Pretty interesting, and a lot of development setting up for the next book, which is my personal favorite. But if you guys enjoy reviews like these, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never saw a new one. By the way, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's get into the review. Prologue, raising the curtain on a fun summer vacation. Kiyotaka, he talks about how high schoolers, they have an importance of cell phones because on the island test, they didn't have their cell phone for 2 weeks, so they couldn't talk to each other, communicate like that, and just do different things. I mean, they didn't have outside access anyway, but you know, using their cell phone is still isn't really important for these people. He talks about how the summer vacation is a little bit different from last year because now he has more friends, different people to be around. He also has a girlfriend, so he's going to take advantage of this and enjoy his summer vacation on the cruise ship. Chapter 1 with Ike and Komiya. So the current rankings, I'm not going to get into the exact points because, well, that's just too much, right? But the current rankings is number 1, Saki and Naki's class, number 2, Ichinose, number 3, Harita, and number 4, Ruin. But I will say that between Ichinose, Harita, and Ruin, they're only separate by a few points. I think from class D to class B is like around 20 something. So Harita, the reason why their class jumped up so much was because of Koenji. Now people have to view him in at least a decent light because he actually helped the class more than he's hurt them because of, I think he got them around 200, maybe even 300 points. So it shows that Koenji, he has the ability, he can do stuff, and people gotta can't really take him lightly. And then it shows that Ichinose, that her class is struggling and that they're not improving. They've actually not really done well ever since the start of school, and it just shows that they've remained stagnant. And Kiyotaka, he sent Ichinose a message to meet him in 3 days. We know how she confessed to him on the island test. He said wait for his answer, and he's gonna give her the answer. But the problem is he's currently dating Kei, but Ichinose, she's a really useful piece to him, but she doesn't know that. So how is this all going to play out? We find that out towards, well, I guess the middle of the book. Kiyotaka and Akito, they talk in their room where people are going to look at different rankings, where Akito, at this point, he's like, hey, we survived. I really don't care at what place we got. We didn't get expelled. Where Ishizaki, he barges in. He's like, yo, Kiyotaka, let's go check the results. And Akito's like, well, why are you so close with him? And I say this is an unpopular opinion, but I love Ishizaki and Kiyotaka's relationship. The growth from being feared or fearing Ruin and being a Ruin lackey to someone who's a very chill and a very loving and a very just interesting guy to be around. He just seems so fun to be around, so I love his character. So the reason why that Ishizaki, he's going to Kiyotaka because, well, it's easier to talk to him than his other classmates, which is understandable because we know that he's supposed to be the guy that beat Ruin, but now he's back under Ruin's lackey, so you know he's getting a lot of hate for it, but it is what it is. So as they look at the results, there's a bunch of third-year students that are constantly gazing at Kiyotaka. He doesn't know why, but he knows it's definitely on Nagamo's orders, and Nana says she noticed this and she talks to him like, yo, you see what's happening? He's like, yeah, I know. Where Kiyotaka, he tries to go back to his room, but Ike's waiting for him. They're going to go talk to Komiyama because Ike, he's going to inform him that he and Shinohara are officially dating because he feels obligated to, because Komiya, I keep on botching up his name, Komiya, he originally liked Shinohara, and because of the incident on the island test, he kind of pushed Ike to confess to her and kind of pushed them closer together. So he feels kind of bad about the whole thing, that it wasn't necessarily a fair shot. Because Kiyotaka's like, hey, it is what it is, but you better be prepared to take a punch. And I love it. Really dry humor from Kiyotaka. Ruin, he's in the infirmary, and some others from class C, and he's trying to get to the bottom of who her Komiya, he's actually like on the basketball team, I believe, and he's really important to class C. And Ruin, he's definitely growing as a leader, so he's like, yo, I'm gonna get back at whoever did this. Where Ike, he goes and tells Komiya that they're officially going out, and Komiya, he's like, hey, it is what it is, but if you make her cry, you know, I want her to forgive you. Komiya, he asks Kiyotaka to look out for Ruin, that he doesn't get too in over his head, and they become friends right there. Chapter 2, the beginning of the short-lived vacation. So Kiyotaka, he meets Kiriyama by the public pool where Kiryu, and she calls out to him while he's waiting, and she noticed that the different third years were monitoring him. And when Kiriyama tries to, he comes, he's like, Kiyotaka, let's go talk. Kiryu, and she makes a funny joke. She's like, oh, I'm his girlfriend, so I have the right to know what you guys are talking about. I think that's funny. I love her sense of humor. And so, they end up getting away, and the question that Kiriyama has is, what did you do to Nagumo on the island test? On the last day, Nagumo, he went to Kiyotaka, he got knocked out, and he couldn't give orders to the third gears, causing them to lose to Koenji. And since Nagumo's in Class A, he basically has, and there's like only half a semester left, nobody else has a shot really to get into Class A. So that only leaves the 20 million private points to transfer into Class A. So what did Nagumo do? He proposed a system where it gives the third years a fighting chance to get into Class A. They compete for a ticket there, and hence Nagumo losing on the island test cost the third years 50 million private points, and which is basically almost 20 million. So one per spot in Class A was given up because them losing, and also different third years because of this blunder. They're losing trust in Nagumo, since a lot of them, actually I think all of the third year groups, the people who got expelled were nothing but third years. So people are concerned with what Nagumo has going on. So the whole point of this meeting is Kiriyama, he's like, Kiyotaka, stop messing with Nagumo, you're interfering with my chances to get into Class A. And I kind of find this funny because Nagumo's the one interfering with Kiyotaka. It's not the other way around, but it is what it is. And as Kiyotaka leaves the pool, Nanase calls out to him, but then they're interrupted by Yume. She is from Class B, or I don't know, I'm gonna just say Ichinose's class because the rankings constantly change. She invites him to have an after party for the exam, since he was able to find Chihiro, who was the lost girl in the last book. She wants to repay him, and Kiyotaka's like, well, I'm not really into this type of stuff, but he ends up agreeing to go, and he goes to the party, but he assumed it wasn't just going to be only girls, but it was. He was like, where are the dudes at? And so he felt a little bit uncomfortable, and then they intentionally left a spot for him to sit next to Ichinose, and she already confessed to him. He didn't give her an answer, so it was a little bit awkward, and he's like, oh shoot, what did I get myself into? And so a girl named Himeno, she ends up leaving, and Kiyotaka, he takes advantage of this, and he ends up leaving because, well, he really doesn't want to be there. She blames on a headache, and Kiyotaka's like, oh, you really don't have a headache, where she's like, I don't really, everybody loves you, but your personality is kind of ugly, and that's Kiyotaka's character. People love him, but they really don't know his true personality. And so the reason why she's upset is because everybody in Class B, especially the girl, she's like, the girls are too friendly with each other. And I kind of agree with her, because I don't think that everybody's a good person, and I think that everybody, or some people, have dark sides behind them. So everybody being all chummy with each other, if everybody gets along, it's a little bit suspicious to me. And Kiyotaka, he's like, well, they're out on the deck. He's like, if you're that frustrated, just go ahead, scream, let it all out. It'll ease your frustration and alleviate your stress. So he does it quietly, to demonstrate it, but then she doesn't. She's like, yo, I feel relieved. Chapter 3, everyone's day off. So Kiyotaka sees Nanade say she's eating lunch the next day. He asked her what did she want to talk to him about, because every time she previously tried to talk to him, they were interrupted, where she's like, yo, never mind, she'll be fine, I'll figure out the problem on my own. Then he ends up meeting Sagenaki, where Ichinose, she went up to Sagenaki and apologized for her different actions. And Sagenaki, she's like, it's cool, it is what it is. I'm going to punish you by chatting with me for 30 minutes. And so the whole point of this conversation was to see if Ichinose had a dark side to her, which she doesn't. Ichinose is a truly kind person. So Sagenaki gives her a warning. She's like, yo, people will take advantage of your kindness, like Ruin, like Harita, like Kiyotaka, which he actually has done. After their discussion, Sagenaki, she interacts with Ishikawa, where she's aware that Ishikawa is a White Room student, and she's like, yo, I'm not trying to fight you, this is just a introduction, where apparently she had Ishikawa followed, and Ishikawa, she noticed the entire time, where she threatened Sagenaki like, yo, I won't hesitate to hit a cripple. I was like, oh shoot. And Sagenaki's like, oh, violence is strong, but that's not always the strongest way to win. I was like, ooh, she clapped back. So that lit a fire under her, where now Ishikawa has Sagenaki on her radar, and it's piqued her interest. So I really hope that they have a clash specifically a battle of wits, because Saganaki is definitely losing in a physical battle, but if they have a battle of wits, I think that would be pretty cool. Chapter 4, the growth in each of us. So the Anya Koji group, they go to the private pool. It's 20k per hour. If you split it up, it's a certain amount, and I think it's 5 of them, so split it up is 4,000 apiece. And there's a discussion about mixed gender friends where, at least for me personally, I don't really think guys or girls can be friends without ever one of them at least catching feelings. I think one of them will, either the girl or the guy, or maybe both of them. Sometimes they express it, sometimes they don't. That's how I truly feel. Like Kita, he's like, yo, I do have interest, but he'd be scared for things to ruin their friendship, which that makes sense. And so the swimsuits that Ari and Hakura that they have, they're very revealing, very sexualized, and none of the guys want to comment on them because that's their friends. But you know, the boobies and everything's out, so they're sitting here trying to avoid the subject. Where later we see Ari and Kiyotaka, they talk. She's like, yo, I want to change, I don't want to drag the class down. Where Hakura, she says to Ari she will grow with the power of love, and Kiyotaka's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Number one, he doesn't like her. Number two, he's going out with Kay. So he's like, he tells Haruka, he's like, yo, her heart will be broken in the future, but you got to be there to help her handle that. So eventually people are going to find out he's going out with Kay, and Sakura is just going to have to accept it. After they're done, Aikashi and Hara, they book the power pool. They're spending more time together as a couple. Just want to mention that. Then there's an argument going on in Ruin's class. Hiyori's there, Kiyotaka's there. She's explaining stuff to him where people want Katsuraki to be the leader because of, over Ruin, because of different things Ruin did. You specifically Ruin by fear, and I did a video about that. I'll leave it in the description. Talking about Ruin, him as a leader, as a character, all of that. Where Ruin, apparently he told Katsuraki everything that Kiyotaka's done that Ruin know of. Now in year 2, volume 2, they made that whole deal with the different cards and Katsuraki switching classes. Katsuraki knew a little bit about what was going on, but now he truly knows everything about Kiyotaka. And then Kei and Sato, they talk at a cafe, and there's only third-year students around now. Pay attention to what I said. So it's revealed that once the semester starts, the new one, that Kiyotaka and her relationship will be announced to everyone. And they do a little bit more girl talk, which I don't really necessarily care about. They talk about, have you kissed yet? And, she called Harada passive, because they technically weren't going out. And she was like, oh, I apologize to his head. And they also made mention that Kiyotaka's a, quote, beast, I guess, for, being so aggressive when they first just started out. And Sato made a joke. She's like, yo, if y'all break up, I'm going after him. Where Kei, she made a face. She really likes him, so she doesn't want them to break up. Pretty heartwarming. I really love those two together. Ibuki and Harikta, they get in contact. They're trying to find out who wrote Harikta the letter or the note of where Kiyotaka's going. And so they talk about Ichika, her strength, where Ibuki and Harikta, they talk about Kiyotaka, where Ibuki, she mentions the the rooftop scene. Harikta, she didn't know about it, but now she understands why Ruin stopped harassing and going after their class, because Kiyotaka stepped in. And Harikta and Ibuki, they are certainly getting closer. She wants to help Harikta figure out who wrote the note. I just love that rivals turning into friends and allies a little bit. Pretty interesting story. Now we cut to Kiyotaka and Ichinose. They meet, and she asks him about how she feel, or he would feel, about the state of her class. And he's like, well, your class, they're nice, they're good people, they have good personalities, but that leaves them vulnerable to dirty tactics. Now he's about to respond to her confession, and Nagumo came out of nowhere. And I remember when I read this, I was like, oh shit, like it's about to go down. He exposed Kiyotaka and Kei's relationship, and you guys are probably like, how did he know about this? Remember what I said about pay attention to what Kei was doing? She was not really paying attention, and she mentioned that they were going out to all the third years around. So obviously that information got back to Nagumo, and so Kiyotaka, he's trying to figure out what his next move is. But Nagumo did all this to protect Ichinose. Not really. He just did this to go after Kiyotaka, where Ichinose, she broke down, she's crying and apologized. She's like, yo, it's obvious someone as great as him and as cool as him would have a girlfriend already, and she runs away. So Kiyotaka could not answer her properly to her confession. he's like, yo, I'm not going to chase her because she needs time to sort out how she feels, and he doesn't want to be a bother to her. Chapter 5, a treasure hunt game filled with women trouble. So there's a treasure hunt game with a chance to get prior points. You have to scan a QR code, and hopefully that code gets a lot of points. The entry fee is 10k. You could win up to 1 million. So obviously people, a little bit of a risk, but you get a decent reward out of it. You could work alone, you could work in pair, and Sato and Kiyotaka, they group up because it's a girl-boy pair. Matsushita, she forms a pair with someone from a third-year student who had a crush on her. She really wanted to work with Kiyotaka, but Sato's his partner already, so they couldn't really be partners. Nanase and Kiyotaka, they walk past each other. I find the interaction funny because there's a amount of people that comment on Nanase's body. Sato was like, yo, like, you really a first year? Because she got some big tits. So, just Hosen made mention of that, and I think one other person as well. And so the reason why Nanase, she's following a first year student. Then we cut to Ruin and Hosen, where Ruin's on Hosen's murder list because of the stuff that happened on the island. Where Nanase, she's being tailed by Ruin as well because she was around the scene with Komiya, and so she's trying to figure out what's going on. And so Ruin and her, they have a chat. She's following a first year student named Kirachi, and she goes to interrogate him before Ruin does, where he was offered private points to attack Kiyotaka by a first year student named Riku, and that had nothing to do with Komiya. In order to for Ruin not to interrogate this Riku kid, she says, yo, if you let me interrogate him, I'll mention somebody who was there, that person being Ichikawa. Since they're a part of the student council, Horikita and Yagami, they're assisting with the event. Where Horikita goes on break, she talks to Kushida. She asks Kushida, why she's sticking so close to Nagami. The answer is simple: keep your friends close, your enemies closer. She wants to expel him because he knows about her past. Now, she believes that Horikita is the most important to expel, specifically because they went to the same school. Same with Yagami, but he was a year before her, or a year after her, is her junior. So, she's really worried about Horikita. She thinks Kiyotaka's scared of her because, the whole private points, that system that they have, but boy, is she wrong. She does not know how scary this man is. So Kiyotaka, we cut to them, him and Sato, their group. They went around. I'm not going to go into detail about, the different QR code and stuff like that. Y'all can read the light novel. But they ended up getting a 100k reward. They split it. And then he goes to Kushida. He splits their winnings because he does have a contract. She declines, but he insists. And she doesn't want to make him an enemy because she believes that he's smarter than Horikita, so she accepts the points. Chapter 6, an inevitable past. So Kei calls Kiyotaka, where there are rumors of him being with a first year girl every day, and then Sato being there. So the first year girl was obviously Nanase, and so this is Kei being insecure. I don't blame her, right? There's different kinds of relationships and stuff like that happens. I'd be insecure too. After they, talk a little bit, she tells him to say I love you, and he does, and she gets all happy and excited about it. They tease each other, and then she says it back. She said I love you back. I find that really cool. This might be the first time they actually say that they love each other. I don't know, maybe they did already, I'm not really sure, I don't really remember. Now we cut to the homeroom teachers for the second year students. They're at a bar, and the reason why they're here, they're discussing something because apparently there's too many second year students that have not been expelled, so they're going to do a special exam for the second years the next book, or when they get off their vacation. And it's the same one that these homeroom teachers had to do, I think 11 years ago. This is also the reason why Chabishira and Hoshinomiya, they're on bad terms, so that's really rough. And in that same night, Horikita, she goes to the pirate pool to look at different signatures. The whole thing with the QR codes and the treasure hunt, she went there to look at signature, but she didn't see one that matched. And so she's trying to figure out who wrote the note. And then there's a first year student, his name is Ishigami Kyo, and he wanted to book a time stop. So Horikita handed him the book, let him go first. And after she did, she looked at what he wrote, and his handwriting looked really close and really similar to the note. So she questioned him, and he's going back and forth with her. And, he calls her Horikita. She's kind of confused because she's like, well, we've never talked before. How does he know me? And, there's a different interaction there. He's really smart, but not physically gifted. And so, they interact, and then he ends up leaving, where Horikita, she runs into Hoshinomiya and Kenzaki. And Kenzaki's like, yo, I know a little bit about Ishigami. He's from class 1A. He's apparently their leader. He's not really strong, but he's really smart. He's on the level of, if you combine Ichinose and Saganaki. And so because he memorized Riku's name and face, he considered her an enemy. Now, Ichika, she is headed to Yagami's room. They talk and it's confirmed that Yagami is yet another member from the White Room. He plans to get Kiyotaka expelled to prove that he's superior. He's going to do it in a battle of wits. And he also wants Ri to find out the truth about them. Don't know why, but he does. And then we cut to Chabishira and Kiyotaka. They meet at 2 a.m. She informs him that they'll be getting a new special test once they return to school. And she asks, yo, Kiyotaka, do you think that we can get to Class A? And he was like, well, to be honest, our class, it does have the potential, which I agree. But he's like, Saginaki's very hard to beat. And he's also like, Chabishira, you have to grow as a teacher if you want us to succeed. Then he randomly decides to play the piano. He does it really well, where Chabishira applauds him, saying even if she dedicated her whole life, she still wouldn't be at the level he is, just showing how talented he is. Then Tsukishiro, he comes out and applauds as well. Apparently, he has stepped down, and acting director Saganaki will return. Whereas Tsukishiro, he asks Kiyotaka to withdraw from school. Chabishira, she gets mad, but Tsukishiro's like, yo, you almost revealed something about the special exam to a student, plus the time that it's out, little scandal, stuff like that, teacher, student, all of that. And Kiyotaka and Tsukishiro, they shake hands. They do it with their left hand, and apparently, according to Chabishira, that shows that, you're enemies to the end. The epilogue. The cruise ship is over and they're back at school. Kiyotaka, he hung out with his different friends, did normal high school student stuff. And then the next day they're back to class. Him and Kei are going to reveal their relationship at the start of the school. She's nervous, but he kisses her in order to ease her nerves, and they start making out there. I'm talking like full on mac down, like they need to get a room. That's how bad it was. And then he reflects on their relationship, their progression that they've had, and in order for her to survive, she needs to not necessarily rely on him as much as she does, especially when he goes against his father, because he's such a dangerous man. And Kei, she needs to be prepared for the different pain and trials and different things that happen when it comes down to that clash. Overall, really interesting book. 4.5 different things happen with Nagumo, setting up different things with Ichinose. We got to see how that stuff is resolved. Kei and Kiyotaka, their relationship progressed. Harita, she's trying to find out some stuff. She learns more about Kiyotaka. Really good book. But let me know how you guys feel about this book in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, the notification bell to get the numbers on a new video from me. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. So on the screen in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.